my gosh, look at that. It's a new platform. Can you guys let me know if you can't hear me by chance? I was having some technical issues, but we should be good. Thumbs up. Let me know if you guys like this new platform that we've got going on. As you can see, I am actually using Restream, which is similar to what Jerry uses. Jerry Ozier, if anybody doesn't know Jerry Ozier, with Simply Cyber in the Mornings. So I was excited about getting over here. Good and happy to see everybody. So we've got a little change of plans for the guests. Let me know if I'm lagging, because I look like I'm lagging on this end. But little change of plans for the guests today. You guys, it's going to be, we're having a special guest come on the show, maybe even 2 special guests. So that's going to be really, really exciting. But before we jump into it, welcome everybody to Outpost Gray. I'm your host, Jack Scott, and this is my channel. It is in collaboration with Grant Thornton, and everything I say on this channel, all my amazingness is of my own thoughts and opinions and not Grant Thornton's thoughts or opinions. So we are going to be talking today about a few different things, probably around OSINT, but what I want to do is I want to share with you guys what we're going to be doing for our next week's show. For all our new individuals that are in the crowd, every Thursday, as you can see at the top right here, I go live. So from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I come to you live and I will provide one-on-one interviews, fireside chats, or panel discussions. And we do this every single week, and we have amazing guests that come on the show. There's occasional times where I'll do a pre-record like I did, I think it was last week, because that's due to travel. But we do have our lineup. Since I've been out of town, I've been able to get some people lined up, and I'm really excited about next week. So let me show you guys what we've got going on next week. Next Thursday, I have got an amazing individual coming on the show. This is Dr. Ruth Gautian. She is an author, a professor, and part of the Thinkers 50, and she wrote the book on high achievers, the success factor. Next week, we're going to be diving into and learning from the expert about high achievers and what makes and separates just a regular old individual person. I use air quotes because we're all awesome. But what is the difference between somebody that just seems to be able to have an unending battery and just exceed to the highest levels, where then you've got other individuals that maybe struggle a little bit more? So she's actually going to be providing us some tips and tricks on that. So I'm really, really excited about having her on the show. And then next week after that, I'm excited because I just finished this promo, but check this out. I know you guys know that these individuals right here, this is part of the Simply Cyber community, the Outpost Gray community, InfoSec Live community. These individuals are extremely active in cybersecurity, just promoting and helping individuals breaking in. And they actually were working on breaking into the industry. And I'm so excited because Jessica, Kim, and David all received their first cybersecurity position recently. They're working as SOC analysts. So I'm really excited about getting them on the show, because we're going to be deep diving and we're going to be talking about what it's like to be a SOC analyst, discussing some of the challenges and some of the successes that they've had in the space. So stay tuned for that. That'll be 2 weeks from now. And also, I wanted just to remind you all that I have a new show. Let me pull it up for you guys really quick. Don't want to show you the secret sauce. Hold on, you guys almost saw the secret sauce over here. I have a new show that comes out every Friday, and if you haven't checked it out, love for you to give it a looky-loo. It's only about 7 minutes or less. It is called the CyberFed News Roundup. And what I do is I provide you the roundup of cybersecurity in the federal space for the entire week, and I highlight it. So it's less than 7 minutes. It's really quick, easy to get through. This is what it looks like. So it's going to be going live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So I'm really excited about that. Hang on just 1 second. My guest is having issues with the link. You guys, thank you for all your patience, by the way, because I'm trying to use the new platform. And so it's a little bit different. Let's see if that one works. Hopefully that'll work for you, my surprise guest. Anybody familiar with StreamYard? at all? The reason I ask is with Restream. Is anybody familiar with this platform, Restream? Because with StreamYard, you can send the link that's at the top with StreamYard directly to the individual, and then they can get on the stream. Is it the same with this? I wanted to make sure. Here, I'm going to send him another link. Otherwise, let me know. I think I got another link sent over to him. But once he hops on here, I actually reached out to another individual, and I think they're going to be hopping on behind the stage here soon. But before we kick it off, I want to first take a few minutes and just thank everybody for showing up. We've got quite a few people in here, and I'm excited. Carrie, always good to see you. Carrie, how's the new job? You've got that position at your church. You said it was a computer job, or was it? No, it's dealing with spiders. Yeah, how is that going? How's the caffeine going for you, Kimberly? Always really good to see you. I know I was over on the InfoSec live stream. I think that Simon's over there right now with Chip. They had a delay in their stream, so they're streaming today. Go check out InfoSec Live. Ginny, really good to see you. Welcome back, Midwest. It's only 75 degrees where you are. Okay, I don't know where you're at, but it is not that cool here. It's very warm where I'm at. James, how are you? Great and exciting work on that blog with Cybersecurity Central. I'm loving your guys' work, yours and Eula, so that's awesome. Looking forward to seeing that. James, I'm also working on that NISTer 8286. So excited about that and getting that going. And I'll share that out with everybody once we have that up and running. But we took a different, just so you know, James, we took it a little bit different direction with it. So that's the only reason I didn't reach out to you on that, because James and I were working on a NIST paper, because if you guys don't know me, I'm a big fan of NIST. Love NIST. And then Cybersecurity Central, great to see you in here. So as we wait for the guest to pop in, because I did ring him at the last minute to hop on here. Do you guys have any questions? Ask me anything. This is an ask me anything moment. Rain is keeping temps down. We'll get really humid ones. Oh yeah. So Ginny, I used to live in the Midwest. I don't think anybody really knows this, but I grew up in Oklahoma until like my early 20s. So I haven't been there in a long time. I know I look young. And it would rain and it would feel so good. But as soon as the rain stopped, the humidity would just roll in and you would be drinking the air. It would be terrible. And it's kind of like that where I live now in Northern Virginia. So I'm used to it. It's pretty thick here. It's about 80 to 90 degrees out here. Okay, ask me anything. This is a free-for-all until the guest pops into the back. Hopefully he'll be here shortly. What do you call, oh my gosh, a paw trait? Of course, Carrie. Carrie, do you like Google these jokes that you have, or is this just something that it's a natural creativity within you that you just figure it out and it just comes to you, flows to you? I'm always curious. Carrie always has the best dad jokes and just general jokes at all. Okay, so as we're waiting for the guest, he's taking a little bit. We're going to hop into talking about branding, because I think this is a really critical topic. And branding in this space, and I'm talking broad branding, not just in cybersecurity, because I get asked this all the time about just branding themselves, breaking into the industry. And one of the big things that I have noticed about just overall cybersecurity branding in this space is, oh, that's interesting. Hold on. I've got another. You guys are hanging in there with me on this one. I don't know why it's not going through. Hold on one second. Anybody restream person? Let me just trash this one. We'll cancel it out. If I can't get, I'll just, it's not, does anybody work with Restream for some reason? It's not going through. Anybody? Okay, I have questions coming in. All right, hold on. You guys are funny. Let me see if I can get this link over to my guest really fast. This is when I need a mod helping me out over here, so I can figure out, they can troubleshoot the problem for me. but you guys are being really patient. I appreciate it. So hold on one second. Okay. If that one works. Okay. So branding really quick. For branding for cybersecurity, the biggest thing that I can tell you is put information out there that is going to help others, especially if you're trying to break into the industry. David does a really great job of this. David Meese, Jessica Bishop, Kim Kennedy, they're the individuals I'm going to be interviewing in 2 weeks. But I get that question all the time of how can I increase my network? How can I brand myself to break into this industry? And it's really hard to brand yourself when you're new and you may not have specific knowledge within cybersecurity. So the best advice that I can give you is start writing about tips and tricks and challenges that you face in this space or how to network in this space. And that will help with your branding, getting just general awareness. And something I actually learned today when I was in a writing class is it takes seven times for somebody to see your name associated with something. So Jax with NIST, it takes 7 times for you to see that, for then you to naturally associate my name with NIST or my name with GRC or CTI. So keep that in mind when you're doing branding. Be really intentional when you're putting information out there. And then also determine what area do you want to be in. Are you wanting to do CTI? Are you wanting to do breaking in and doing SOC analyst? So I'm going to quit talking and I'm going to get our guest on here because he just popped in. All right, you guys ready for this? Hold on. I have a graphic, so we got to do this right. It's got to get fancy. All right, here we go, y'all. That was great timing, Tom. Thank you so much for hopping in at the last minute. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're just gonna figure this out. How are you, Tom?
No, busy as hell. It's black hat season, so everybody's got to get all their work done before going next week.
Yes, you are. There's a whole group of individuals that are going to Black Hat. Well, I'm very thankful that, and you're gracious with your time to hop on here, especially at the last minute. I literally text Tom at 3:30, and I'm like, hey, can you hop on a show with me? And he's like, really? What? Okay, whatever, sure. And that was it. And I hung up on him and sent him a link that didn't work. So.
No, you sent 3 links that didn't work because you're sending it through Signal.
Oh, is that why it's not working? It was going through Signal?
No, it was going through Signal, not working, and then I go to email it, and then it goes to Google was preventing it.
Oh my gosh. Well, now we know. Now I know for future because I knew there was going to be a glitch using a new platform. So here we are. That's okay. And I just texted you. I was like, what are we going to talk about, Tom? Because you have a wealth of knowledge, but you're really knowledgeable within the OSINT space. We could definitely dive into that. What does the crowd think? You guys think you want to hear about some OSINT talk with good old Tom Ryan?
We could do OSINT into red teaming because it's key components and it's stuff I'm getting to work on a lot right now.
Have you been like leaning out? You look like strong. What are you doing in your free time? You're so busy. You just doing push-ups like you do. You look
No,
like you're leaning out, Tom.
I have a goal that I want to hit. So I have 22 pounds to go and getting in a lot better shape.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah. No, it's
this
awesome.
industry kicks your butt.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So it does kick your butt. I have felt like this week alone, like Tuesday hit, and I'm like, wow, it has been an extremely long week. How do you combat that? I know for me, like I just ate a little bit ago for the first time today, which I'm not encouraging anybody watching that to do that. That just sometimes happens, and you just get consumed with work, and the next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock, and you still have 4 more hours of work to do. How do you combat that?
So I ended up getting a health coach, number one,
That's smart.
besides having a business coach. So kind of going that direction. I always hear you have to have a coach. So I got a health coach, I got a business coach, and that's been my direction. You know, because as soon as you start losing weight and moving forward, you get a lot more energy. As soon as you start realizing how important sleep is, it's a little bit better. I even give up coffee and then I move over to these lovely little babies every day, Celsius waters.
Yeah, I don't drink a lot of coffee. I know Carrie's like 188 days free of no coffee, which is wild. I've definitely got off of it. I might have drank a little bit of an espresso. I was looking over here, but I got my water, and it's critical because you're working all day. Do you get up and walk around? Do you take breaks? Like,
You have to. At least by where I live, you go walking by the water. So at least when you get to go walk by the water, it's a lot nicer, a lot more refreshing. Except nowadays, when you're in the heat advisory, not so much fun.
I like that. Yeah, no, it's really hot here. Ginny's at 75 degrees in Midwest. I'm jealous because it's yeah 95 to like 100 with 80 to 90% humidity. And you're pretty close to me, so I assume it's probably the same there for you. It's tough. Okay, so let's talk about OSINT. And I recently did a very brief news report during my CyberFed News Roundup last Friday about a new foundation that was developed called the OSINT Foundation, and it was designed specifically like hyper focused on the federal space, providing actionable intel using social media platforms to demystify or debunk some of the disinformation that's going on in that space, but then also provide our leaders, the key leaders in the congressional space, our federal spaces, with actionable intel to be able to leverage. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about that because we know there's organizations like Bellingcamp, for example, who does like broader OSINT, where the
Mhm.
OSINT Foundation is going to be really focused. As soon as I read that, the first thing I said was I was surprised we weren't doing something like this sooner because OSINT's been around and the capabilities of that. But let's first take a step back and talk about like what is OSINT and how is it leveraged by adversaries?
Yeah, so interesting topic because last weekend when I had a room on it, you came in and then we started talking about the different terminology, what's used in general public versus what's used in government. That was an interesting part because I didn't even realize that. The other thing is how important it is in everything that we're doing. Okay.
Mhm.
Nowadays, everybody's on social media. Everybody wants to make the quick buck. Everybody gets pulled into these scams online. Like some of the things we've been following are all the different scams. Oh, because everybody wants to make money quick. So, and that's why I'm laughing because you're on Clubhouse, everyone's telling you to make $1 million. You're on TikTok, everyone's telling you to make $1 million real fast. In reality, it's just the hard work. So, do you do research on these people? Okay. Perfect example. One guy that's on one of the platforms is sitting there going, "Oh, you could do it and you can, have your company go public like mine." I'm like, "Yeah, interesting. Your company went public, but you own 90%. So what was the purpose of going IPO?" So it's
Yeah.
not, is it for, you know, something visual that people to believe in something or what? The other thing is, it's like I do background checks on everybody all day long. While we're
Fine.
talking, I'll be doing running checks on you. Because nowadays it's disinformation is rampant. That's why when they say, okay, we're going to have the disinformation police, I'm like, yeah, that's more of an opinion now, right? So how are you going to validate what's real, what's not? Because nowadays, the two things I'm actually starting to hate Disney now for this. Two of the things I hate, TikTok and Instagram Reels. But the sole purpose is it's a short, controlled story, narrowed down to 20 seconds to a minute, and everybody uses that as life. And why I started hating that is because I had customers saying, "Well, can you explain security in quick 2-minute components?" I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, so you basically want Instagram Reels for training videos. I'm like, so I can influence you to always use us. No, 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 we don't want that. But that's the reality of what people
Hmm.
want because that's the break you get between meetings. Everybody's working from home, you know?
Yeah, you're right. It's our attention span. What did they? I think they've said the current generation's attention span is less than 30 seconds. That means which blows my mind because how can you get work done if you're constantly pinging? And that's why I turn off all of my notifications except for my business email and certain things like that. Otherwise, I won't be able to get anything done. But looking at that's some of the issues and challenges we're having in the cybersecurity space is because people are distracted, they're not paying attention, an email comes in, they're going to click, they're not going to slow down, and then you try to train them and they don't want to hear it because it's boring. They don't,
Mhm.
they're like, you say cybersecurity and they're just like, they don't, it's a boring thing. So how can we make it more like gamify it to get them involved? And I agree, the TikTok videos, I think they're not hitting the spot. You can't get what you need in 2 minutes, but I think they're going into the right direction. And I also think, I don't know if you're tracking what Alyssa Knight is doing with Knight Productions, and she's actually producing movies that are 20 minutes or less that will focus specifically on a cybersecurity awareness training. And one could be on phishing, and one could be like, what do you do on an incident? And she's produced 3 or 4 videos, and they're all in the AMC theaters. And that, I think, is a great approach, because when you do cybersecurity awareness and you have movies, it just feels like you're now binge watching a TV show, but it's more than 2 minutes. So we're still engaging that population. I think that could be a really good approach to get people more engaged.
Yeah, I think you have to make it more like, see, here's the thing. You have to make it more like trailers, make it something that's exciting. Sadly, the other thing that I think wakes people up, and I was thinking from a rules engagement perspective, can we do this on red team exercises? Basically compromise people's social media accounts, because that's when they're going to care.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as simple as, saying, hey, you want to be here, vote for me for this. And all you do is really send them your password reset, and then say, oh, send me a screenshot. And then you say, okay, that's URL. I'm going to change your password. And then that's when they're going to wake up to reality. And the reason why I bring up that exact scenario, that was going on Instagram for the longest time. And the key thing to that is, it's like, it's taken advantage. Everybody is, oh, you have to be more empathetic, you have to be more sympathetic. I'm like, to me, and this, coming from the military background, to me, those are vulnerabilities. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure. Let me play on that. Let me see how I can social engineer you, use it to what I need, gather intel from you from, a social engineering perspective, and, just create this whole dossier. And this is pretty much what we do on a daily basis. We do it knowingly and unknowingly. Say you're single and you go out there trying to figure out who's the right person for me. You're social engineering them. You're out there doing sales. Okay. The world you've come into in the GRC space, it's social engineering. And
Yeah.
Houdini said it best: with the eyes see and the ears hear, the mind believes. Okay.
Mm.
It's a premise for social engineering, sales, marketing, you name it. Deception also.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, and James, you're spot on. James, I like this comment. Nobody cares till something happens to them, and this is something that we've been battling as cybersecurity professionals for a while in this space. Because, look, for example, I just talked to somebody who doesn't work in cybersecurity about all of the crypto crime that is taking place, and he reached out and he's like, this doesn't make sense. That's $100 million. Wouldn't you think these organizations would secure themselves and get a pen test team and do all of these things? I'm like, yes, but the problem is, a lot of times it goes back to like risk. Is it worth the risk of losing $100,000? They could have $30 million. So that's a drop in the bucket versus paying a pen testing team. And then it goes back to, a lot of the organizations still think, well, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm the low man. No big deal. And then next thing you know, $100 million, you lose $100 million, which would change my life drastically. But a lot of these crypto, I don't know if you've been listening, but I feel like almost every day or every other day, a new crypto wallet has been breached, a new organization has been breached, and cryptocurrency has been stolen.
Right. So one thing it comes to, especially NFTs, everything else, smart contracts. Smart contracts, I think I know maybe only a dozen people that truly pen test them correctly. And the billing rate on that's about $6.50 an hour. Right? That's from the one who wants to pay that.
No.
But if you're in that business, you need to know it's going to cost you. Okay? And when you say you have pen testing done, well, who is the person that does it? Not the company, but the person. Okay? Because this has been my thing since about 2003. A company is only as good as it's the people that they have working with them. All right. So
Yep.
you can, and I deal with a couple of major financials that were extremely smart about this. So the way that they learned about this, and this is 2004, they started saying, okay, I want these people to do this pen test. I want these people to do this pen test. Okay, they would start calling out the companies saying who they wanted to do it because those are the ones that got the best results from.
Mm.
And that's how I've always looked at it. It's always the people, not really the company. The company could be great because my favorite one is, yes, we'll cover you if you're breached. I'm like, really? Tell me how that's going to work legally. I mean, this is where I wish I had Jen on for this lovely portion. Legally, what do we do from that? The red teaming stuff is becoming more interesting because I've told you offline some of the new things that are in play. And it's like, man, this is getting real heavy, and this is starting. And the reality check is these new scenarios are targeting billionaires that own these types of businesses or invest in these businesses. So hopefully that's a wake up call.
I think we should throw a link to Jen and get her on here as well. Let me know. Here, I'll drop the chat. I'll drop the link in the chat right here, the private chat that we have. Okay, so let's talk about let's go back a little bit because I think this is an important point to chat about because it's an emerging space. So pen testing, vulnerability assessments. We are, organizations are coming out with these automated pen testing. Automated pen testing for organizations to be, they're selling it as you can run and automate your pen testing and run it as much as you want. However, there's an incurred cost to that. And a lot of individuals don't know that there's an incurred cost. They just think, well, I can just run it as much as I want. I'm going to be safe. Yes, but no. It all depends on obviously who's going to analyze that report. How are you going to fix the vulnerabilities that you have in your network? And typically those automated assessments, even though you don't have a person running them, they still cost money to run those. So I'd love to get your insights and your thoughts on going into that automated pen testing and where we're going using AI and machine learning to do these automated pen tests. Do you think that's going to be kind of the way of the future? And do you think that it's going to be beneficial for organizations to use these?
So there'll be pros and cons to them. Me personally, I kind of priced one out, and ironically, it was going to cost 7,000 more on a red team than for me to go in and do it. I'm like, okay, interesting. All right, but how are they going to do this, 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 this? How are you going to do Wi-Fi hacks? How are you going to do all the OSINT on all the individuals so you know who to target with what specific emails? You have to get really targeted. I mean, I think I told you about the one hedge fund we took over from Tinder. Okay, that's one scenario. And how do you find out who likes what? You have to get very specific. Okay, this guy likes a beautiful blonde with blue eyes, and this girl likes this guy with the six pack, and so on and so forth. And then this is where the emails are going to coming from. She likes she likes her Lululemon workout gear, so maybe we're going to use a Lululemon to target that specific person. These are the things these automated platforms are not going to be able to do. Okay, because you have to get in the mindset of the person and the mindset of the tester.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the tester, everybody has a unique perspective, and I've always said this. So whenever you target these specific attacks, you have to make sure you hire the right people. Okay, every team should have a male and female in my eyes because different mindsets, different ways of looking at it. That's one thing. And then if it's a specific company overseas, maybe you need somebody of that ethnicity, all right? Because they're going to
Mm-hmm.
know a lot more about that and say, you know what, how do I get to these people? Okay, say a company in Florence, Italy. You may
Mm-hmm.
want somebody from Florence. Okay, it's just like working in the intelligence space.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. And knowing the language is critical. Knowing the culture is a critical thing. And you're not going to get that unless you live there and you're native to that area. You can speak English, but if you grew up and live in France, your culture and your beliefs are going to be different. All right, let's do a little bit of a pivot. You are a big supporter of women in this space, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about that because you said something when you were just talking a little bit ago about having that balance of having a woman and a man on your team, and I think that's critical for balance. I want to know why, and I've never asked you this before, so this will be on the spot, but I want to know why you're such a supporter of women in this space.
Way back when I was running teams, I specifically said I need to hire a female because they think differently. And one of the senior executives said no. I'm like, why? He's like, because I said so. I'm like, all right, that's fine. And, I'm like, well, it's a bad decision. But ironically, at that time, there was just not that many people in the space. I think maybe 2 years after that, a few of them started doing Black Hat talks. But it's always been, who does what and who thinks differently. I always look at people who thinks differently. So you throw them a situation and how do you solve this problem? Okay, I don't care if you can code it. I can get anybody to code a problem, but what's your mindset on, how you handle this? And I think that's the most important feature. Not that know 10 years of freaking this particular software that's only been out for 6 years, but that's a different story. And then that's inspired me to do other things that we'll talk about on later episodes because I wanted to ping you on some advice on that one too. I'm thinking about starting a specific nonprofit to get rid of the BS in this industry.
Oh, I'm interested in this. That'll be fun. Get rid of the BS in this industry. I feel like some of the BS, since being in it I was in IT. So I thought about this the other day. I went, how long have I actually been in cyber? Because I was asked this question versus my IT and cyber experience. Because when I was in IT, there was no cyber and they kind of blend. But yeah, roughly 5 years in cyber. And it honestly, Tom, it feels like that long. It doesn't feel like I've been in cyber at all. I feel like most of my foundation is within IT, but I will say that moving from IT and into cyber 5 years ago, I was really, because I had just left special ops and I had moved into it, and I was really surprised at the imbalance of diversity. And I was also surprised that I was still having to, and maybe it was just organization where I was at, but I was having to prove myself because I was a woman. I don't feel like that today. If anybody knows, I drink the Grant Thornton Kool-Aid. I've told you that. I love it. I love the organization. It's all about culture, in my opinion. But I've just noticed that, yeah, when I first got into it, I had a really bad taste in my mouth, Tom. And I forget, because now I'm in a good culture, there's still garbage out there, and you have to deal with it. It's
And our
tough.
mutual friend that reported to you while you were in those divisions felt the same way.
Oh yeah, yeah. So glad that's in my past. Yeah. Anybody that's interested in Grant Thornton, definitely reach out to me. Great organization to work for. Love it, and it's definitely, we're growing in the cybersecurity space. But we won't talk about Grant Thornton because I could just go off on I need to do a live stream just all about Grant Thornton, which I'm going to. We're going to be doing a recruiter panel here in about 3 to 4 weeks. We're going to do a live recruiting with Grant Thornton recruiters. So we'll get that going. Okay, so back to the male and female talk. I want to ask you, working with women in this space and knowing the challenges that we face, have you ever experienced where you've worked with a woman, you've brought them on, and you put them in a specific role, and you could see that imposter syndrome, or you could see that they had challenges? And if you did, how did you mentor them?
See, that's the interesting part because at my current 9 to 5, are rock star females. I mean, and we have a lot of them. Okay. They don't want the customers to know who they are. They're the people doing all the hardcore work in the back end because they want to have a life. Okay. And once the customers know who they are, they're going to constantly hound them. So there's that type of female. And then you have the energetic females that are just the more extroverted ones. Okay. That go out there and do a phenomenal job. So coworkers I have, like, Linda, total rock star. Former coworkers, Sarah. I mean, she was the back end ISR that made her way all the way to strategic account rep in like 3 years because she crushed it every year. You know, I mean, I still tease her. I'm like, can you stop crushing it and leave some homes left for us to buy? Because that's how well she's crushing it. And everybody who knows me knows what I'm talking about. My other mentees, Morgan and Renee, they just go out and crush it. I mean, I even told Katie Hanahan and them, I'm like, you all live in the same area. Why don't you just go meet up? Out there in Chicago. Um, because it's, everybody has their own different networks. And if you're like me, it gets annoying because you have a circle of friends here and a circle of friends here and a circle of friends here, and those three circles never cross paths. So I have the wealthy friends, I have the hacker friends, and then I have the business friends.
That's so funny. Yeah, I met Jen because of Clubhouse. That's
Hmm.
you had me on Clubhouse, and I guess that was the introduction to Jen. I met Jen and Katie, and then I think there was another woman in there. And then I had Jen on my show, and then I met Katie and Jen both at RSAC. We all connected, and a few other women while I was there that were part of your Clubhouse. And that's the only reason we like crossed paths, is I was a guest on your show, and then yeah, it was awesome. They're
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, now that everything's going full force, it's like, so we just finished Q3 for us last week, and now we're in Q4. And the way our business is, it's Q4 heavy. And when I say Q4 heavy, 70% of the business is closed in Q4, because the smart shoppers in the business know whenever you're going to do a big purchase, don't do it until Q4, because you're going to get the best deal. And then that best deal rides over for years. As long as you tie it into an ELA, you're getting the best deal. I mean, some of the companies we've done business with, I can't believe how cheap they've gotten it. But they also have some of the most amazing programs, and that's what pivoted me over to the sales side for a year. So my business coach, Randy, he was like, "Yeah, the reason why you failed before in your business, you didn't know sales, you didn't know marketing."
Hmm.
He didn't tell me. He's like, "You need to do 3 years of sales." He's like, "Well, once you go into sales, you're not getting out." He didn't tell me that part. He's like, "Because you just the amount of money you make is the only thing that holds you back is you." Okay, until you work for a company that says, "Oh, you're doing so well, we don't want to pay you so much, so we're going
Mm-hmm.
to increase your quota through the roof."
Yep.
And that's what you have to learn. And then sooner or later you say, "You know what, I'm going on my own again, because now I learned all my flaws, and now I'm going to go out and fix it."
Yeah. I don't understand. I haven't been in sales. I know a lot of salespeople in the cybersecurity and tech space, and they always say the same thing about the quota. Can you explain why they do that? I don't understand. You're doing a great job. You're bringing money in, and then they just keep upping it, up. And I understand about wanting to have that growth. You need that in an organization. But I always hear from the sales team that it'll eventually, it gets to a point where it's just too much, and they'll leave the organization, which I don't understand that.
Right. So that's where the value of competitive intel comes in play, which goes back to OSINT. Okay. So you always know what your competitors are doing. And it's not just the tech. Everybody's just focuses on the tech. It's the tech, the marketing strategy, the sales strategy. What are they doing for employee attainment? Because guess what? What's the most valuable competitive intel? Who their best employees are. And then
Mm-hmm.
you know how to poach them.
Hmm.
Okay, so when you start looking at it from an OSINT perspective, you could see who's the most influential on social media. I mean, you turn around and you look at, I don't even know where she works, but she's always up there. Amber the engineer.
Mm.
Okay, she pops up on TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere. She's all over the place. And then she comes out with a book, a kid's book. So it brings her in a whole different circle. So guess what? Whoever she's working for, her competitors are going to target her. We need her because she's going to build up the company. Sort of like when they brought you into Grant Thornton. I'm like, wow, that's going to be great for Grant Thornton. Who's the most valuable people out there that we can get? And that's what you have to look at. Because they always say, your net worth is your network.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you're dealing with, what's your Rolodex look like? And it's been evident because that's how they pick their C levels. Who do you know? How do you influence? What's your strategy when you're coming over? Who are you bringing with you? There's always the questions they're going to ask. Who are the first people you're going to bring in with you?
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally follow when an executive moves in, who they're bringing with them. If they're not bringing in anyone, that's a red flag right away. And I've had leaders like that. They've come in the company and they brought no one. And I'm like, this is not going to go over well.
That's really interesting. You're absolutely right. Like anytime I move to an organization, I'm always trying to recruit my friends and bring them marks like true. And I see that I'm trying to recruit Erica McDuffie from Coalfire to get her to come over to Grant Thornton. And she won't do it. It's okay, Coalfire. If anybody's on here from Coalfire, she's not going anywhere. But yeah, I've definitely tried to get some people to come on. But we have a little bit, it's different at Grant Thornton public sector because you have certain contract requirements. So there's a little bit more parameters in place as far as what they require out of employment there. So you do need a little bit more experience in that space. But as an executive, when you're moving into executive roles, it's different. And you should be bringing, I've always seen it, they bring a team with them, like 5 to 6 people they bring in with them. And I've never really thought about I've never seen an executive come in and not bring somebody with them. Like that would be a red flag when you think about it that way.
Yeah, I have.
Interesting. Okay, so you saw that happen. How long did that executive last? Or did you see like a character flaw after a little while for them working at the organization?
No, I've seen lots of things, but I can't go into details.
He's like, I like that. I like that, Tom. Okay, let's talk about your Clubhouse. So everybody can find you on Clubhouse if they want to, but
Work
you
has
run,
taken over. I have
who is?
not Work has taken over. I haven't done a good room in a while. I did one last week because everyone's like, you have to do a spin up. But as you can see, a lot of people have pulled away because one, it's summer, so you want to enjoy the summer. You know, I don't know if I could run a clubhouse in the pool. That would be problem number one. Problem
You
number
could.
two,
You could.
I could,
Yeah.
if you say so. And then number two, it's like going from Q3 to Q4, I'm lucky I have time to breathe,
Mm-hmm.
you know, between that and then other things taking off, new boards popping up that I'm getting put on, um,
Yeah.
getting a lot more into the whole AI space from two different perspectives. One, helping people with their companies that are focused on it. Two, uh, basically hacking the ML behind the AI, because everybody forgets that's a whole new attack vector. So if you can corrupt the machine learning, you can corrupt the AI. So your real attacks are then, you know, get marked false positives automatically. And everybody forgets this when you start hearing, well, I have AI. Okay, well, what are you using? If you tell me you're using a random forest algorithm, that thank you, because now I know I can corrupt it. If that's your back end platform for ML, it's like, yeah, that's easy to figure out. I just throw a lot of bad data and then it's all corrupted. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, have you watched Code Bias? I need to watch
No.
that on Netflix. I learned about it on one of my other live streams. I looked it up. I need to just watch it. I know some of the viewers right now were telling me about it, but yeah, I was just talking about garbage in, garbage out. I think you and I might have even talked about like AI and the biases that
Hmm.
that are within it. We're gonna see it for a while. I bet we're gonna probably see more reporting around it, and I wouldn't even be surprised if down the road in the next year or two we even see like lawsuits against machines eventually. I think that it's good. I think eventually will go into that direction, at least momentarily, to then force industry leaders to reassess their code biases, because nothing's pressing it right now. We're just talking about it. But I'm thinking, is there legislation? I think there might be legislation going in place, at least for the federal space around. Again, this is a Jen question of knowing if there's going to be laws to hold organizations accountable for code bias.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one because there were stuff going through. And then I'm sitting there like, but I don't know any government employees smart enough to understand the algorithms to say, okay, this is it. I mean, if they reach out to some of the university resources, like say at MIT or Stanford or, Carnegie Mellon, sure. Contractors, but actual government employees, I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I try to pay attention to all of that AI, machine learning, the whole big data shift with quantum computing. It's going to definitely transform our threatscape, and we're going to be where we are today in the next 3 to 5 years is going to be completely different, just with the emerging technology and where we're going. Mark asked a question about I think it's the poaching for getting past poaching agreements. And this is when you were talking about, recruiting the best talent from other organizations. How do you get past that?
Oh, that's easy. You get them through you get them through a recruiting company as a contractor.
I've seen that. Yeah, that's a good approach.
You get them as a contractor and with a 6-month to hire promise, because then it comes from a recruiter, not directly you poaching them. The bad
Interesting.
part is you have to give that recruiter 20%. 20% of their pay. So if you're hiring somebody for 400 grand, that recruiter's basically getting 80 grand if they stay for 90 days.
That's how that works. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I knew recruiters had an interesting job. I didn't understand like the whole pay. So, and they get it, and is it usually 90 days? Like they have to stay there for 90 days, or is it
90 or
sometimes longer?
180, it all depends on who they are. It depends on your role. Okay, so an engineer would be like 90 days, where an executive would be like 180.
Got
I
it.
mean, it gets real tricky. But yeah, there's ways around it. Or the person can go start up their own company
Mm.
and then a apply for a contract position after that. There's always a way around most of these agreements.
Yeah, in the military, we used to say when they ever anything said no, like for example, warrant officer school, I had only gone to one of my leadership courses, and you needed a second one, and it wrote next to it it was mandatory. Well, I still went to the warrant course, and it was like non-waiverable. So we always say in the military, there's always a way, and there's always a waiver for that. There's
I had
always
a
a way.
flash flood for the military, so there's always a waiver.
There's always a waiver. Yes. Mark made a statement about AI, and if you want to elaborate on it at all, he said, ooh, that is not what he said. Ouch. Okay, this is the current debate with AI is the learning set.
Right. The learning set's the machine learning piece. What are they using? For instance, the reason why they always say that, okay, this, Facebook is biased, this, that, and the other one's biased. And it always comes back to what we said about pen testing a red team. It's the person behind it. Okay. Technically, Facebook could have the right intentions. Same thing with Instagram. But who did they hire for that specific role that actually screws up that algorithm?
Yep, I like
You
it.
know, and
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting how you're going to fight it and defend it. How are you going to, what are you going to do? Create robot lawyers to, it's going to be a whole new profession. I'm an AI lawyer, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And robot lawyers, that actually is a really good point because, they have like you can pay a service and do, oh gosh, what is it called? It's the law. You pay like $100 and they write a contract for you. And it's super basic, like business contracts, NDAs. I did it when I ran my company a few years
Hmm.
ago, but I think they're going to definitely automate and do AI for that because all you have to do super basic stuff like divorce decrees. Well, those aren't easy, actually. Never mind. Prenups, those might be easier than a divorce decree because everybody's happy and loving beforehand. But after, it's a different story.
Prenups, huh?
We won't talk about that. We'll need a full episode in Jen on here.
I didn't know Jackson made that much money. Wow, things we're learning about you. Is this social engineering? Are we getting info out of you from that?
Oh, it's too funny. Okay, so we're about to be at time, but we have one more guest that we're going to bring on the stage really quickly. So this episode kind of turned into a fun one. So we're going to bring her on, and we're going to chat about some things that she's got going on in the space, and then we'll do final thoughts, everyone, and then we'll wrap up. So. Can you all guess actually, let me ask, can you guys all guess who's behind the screen right now in the green room? Whoever gets it right, I'll send you a surprise. Let's see if they can guess. Anybody guess? The first one that pops up wins. Let's see. And you guys should know. I mean, I already gave you the gender. So let's see.
It's
Do you
one
know
of
who
two
it is, Tom?
people.
Huh?
It's one of two people.
Jerry's YouTube is coming. No, Carrie, it's not Jess Bishop, but but relatively close, kind of in a similar circle. It's not Gary's YouTube. Gary's Daniel's sister. Nope, not Daniel's sister. Come on, guys. Come on, everybody. Couple more chances. Let's see.
Does she have purple hair?
No, not unless she colored it recently.
Does she do LinkedIn Lives?
Oh, look, they got it. Kimberly. Finally. Oh my God. Yes, welcome. Okay, she just left. Okay, she's back. Oh my gosh, she's welcome to the show, Kimberly. I love your shirt. Oh, she's frozen. Okay. This goes perfect with the show.
What's it say? I love what? I couldn't see the breast. I love what?
It says I love NIST. Carrie, Jess, you guys came in at the exact same time, so I'm going to reach out to both of you and give you your surprise. That was funny. And Kimberly's frozen, so that goes like perfectly with how this. I'm going to remove her. Okay, that was awesome. So that was Kimberly, everybody, and her shirt said "I love NIST" on it. Yeah. Okay, so let's do some final thoughts, and if Kim pops back in, we'll try. Oh, she's back. Okay, hold on. She's coming in strong this time. And now you're on mute. We can't hear you. Yep, can't hear you. No, you're gonna have to check your settings. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Yeah, there's a settings down on the bottom right. Just make sure you have the right mic setting, because sometimes it'll connect to the wrong mic. Okay, I'm going to move you. And then when you've got your settings, give me a thumbs up in the green room and I'll bring you back on. Okay, Tom, let's try this again. Final thoughts. Thank you for coming on the show today and being the guest for the Outpost Gray community.
No, thank you. I mean, I'm sitting there like, wow, I get a call from the day during Jack's. Something's up.
You did get a call.
She's usually quite swamped. Yeah, I mean, so one, thank you for having me on. It's always great to be here. It's always good to have really good conversations with people. Any of you out there on Black Hat, just ping me. Maybe we'll grab a drink, do whatever. If you're a customer of mine, yes, we'll be going racing Ferraris and McLarens on Thursday. So, yep.
How can they find you at Black Hat, and how can they find you in general?
Well, if you know me, you'll have my number and you can hit me up on Signal.
This is true.
Otherwise, my phone will be in a Faraday bag. It is Black Hat and DEF CON. Yeah, so I'm pretty much there until Friday. I know we have our little event I'll be at. I'll just tell you, I won't give you all the details. It's called Bite the Bullet.
Ooh.
BYTE. So it may be a shooting competition with some hackers and some federal agents.
This will be awesome. Man, I don't even get FOMO, and I have just a tad bit, and I never get FOMO, but I'm a little tad bit FOMO over here for Black Hat and DEF CON. So I'm going to have to make work for next year and get out there.
It's bad for me because I do not like Glocks. Glocks are not made for big hands. They're too small for my hands.
You can get like that extender on the grip. It makes it a little bit bigger.
You have to use theirs.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So in a competition, I end up getting slide bite, and it's not fun.
Ooh. Oh. Are you getting slide bite right here then?
Right here.
Where your thumb is wrapping? Where I can't see your hand. Yeah, that's oh, I see. It's going up, and when it goes back. Okay. Yeah, I don't have that problem at all.
That's why I'm a SIG guy.
Yeah, I had a SIG, and I did have a SIG for a while. I do mostly our Glocks, but we had Glocks on deployment and Berettas, but Glocks. And I think SF is now using SIGs. I think that's
the whole 320 platform, because you can take the fire control unit and change it out whatever size you want.
Yeah. Okay, now we're getting to gun talk. All right. That's okay. It happens. Military, everybody, it's fine.
It's the military thing. It never goes away.
It doesn't.
I've been out for a long time now. Got out. Yep.
Yeah, I don't miss range days though. They make range days pretty terrible. Sometimes it depends on what unit you're with, but there were a lot of times you were just like, oh my gosh, range day.
Yep.
Anyway, all right. I'm going to take you to the back room. If you've got to drop off because you've got work, I totally get it. I'll do the outro and then I'll meet you back there, or I'll buzz you on Signal. I'm just really happy that you were able to hop on here and we got to chat for a little while and catch up.
Yep. Sorry sorry made you wait a little bit, but
I was rambling. Yeah. I'll try to delete the first part of this. No, it's fine. It was authentic. You're the best, Tom. I'll see you later.
not a problem. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. All right. So thanks to everybody for staying with me as we kick that off. It was a little bumpy at first. New platform. I think we've worked out the kinks, except for Kimberly and her Wi-Fi. But you know what, Kimberly? I'm going to have you come on next week. So you're going to have to come on next week. I wanted Kimberly to come on the show because Cybersecurity Central has recently launched their blog. I wanted her to talk about that. Her, Eula, and James are working on that. So that's a really big shift. And then if you didn't catch it, I highly encourage you. Kimberly, if you wouldn't mind sharing it, she did a video on her YouTube page, an intro video about herself and her journey of breaking into the cybersecurity field. So that is an amazing video. Go and watch it. Make sure you like and you subscribe to Cybersecurity Central because she puts out a ton of amazing information every single week. So Kimberly's going to be a surprise guest on the show. So really quick, for any new people that showed up during the middle of it, I just want to quickly remind you all, every week I go live on here on Thursdays from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will do either one-on-one interviews, super casual discussions like you just saw between Tom and I. We'll do firesides and we'll do panels. And next week, I am going to have an expert on the show who has studied high achievers for the last decade. And she wrote a book on this called The Success Factor. Dr. Ruth Godian is amazing. I'm thrilled. I've actually interviewed her before on my old podcast called Hackers and Hexen. And she is fantastic. She's going to provide tips and tricks to you on how to become a high achiever. So you definitely want to tune in for that. And then talking about panel, check these fancy people out. That's right. This is going to happen in 2 weeks. Some amazing guests are going to be on the show. Jessica Bishop, who won the little surprise thing, even though Kimberly was only on the show for just a second. But Jessica is going to be on the show with Kim Kennedy and David Meese. And if you don't know these individuals, go and follow their LinkedIn pages. They do a lot inside of the community, and they all three just landed their first positions in cybersecurity at the same organization as SOC analysts. So I'm really excited about having them on the show because we're going to talk about how did they break into the industry, and now that they're in, and a couple of them just finished they're in their second week right now. So, or like one of them, I don't know. They recently started they all started like 1 week off. So a couple of them might be in 1 or 2 weeks. And by the time we do the show, I think all of them will be at least a month plus. So we're going to talk to them about how they broke in and then talk about their current challenges that they're seeing in this space. So make sure that you tune in for that. And also, the last thing is removing that. Every Friday, I provide you all at 9 a.m. the Cyber Fed News Roundup. And I don't have it up here anymore. Kimberly, if you can drop that in the stream as well, that'd be awesome. But the Cyber Fed News Roundup is at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So go check it out. Hop onto my YouTube page. It'll post at 9 a.m. and it'll be Cyber Federal News. It'll be a highlight reel of the top stories, between 6 to 8 news stories provided to you that is happening or did happen within the last few days, specifically for this federal space. Because if you know me, you know that I love NIST and I love all things cybersecurity federal. All right, guys. Thank you again. Love seeing everybody. That concludes the stream, and I will see you all next week. Same time, same place. I'm out.